Hey y'all, thanks for stopping in. Another Bud Light video. The last one was from CNN Business. This one's going to be from Fox Business. Let's see how much they align. Bud Light parent Anheuser-Busch InBev sales tumble further in the U.S. Anheuser-Busch InBev on Tuesday reported a staggering 13.5% decline in the U.S. revenue in the third quarter as its company's Bud Light brand continues to suffer in the country after a controversial partnership with transgender activist Dylan Mulvaney in the spring. Sales of Bud Light began to tumble in the U.S. in April, not long after the brand created and sent custom beer cans to Mulvaney to mark her 365 days of girlhood. That, curiously, is she still doing her days of girlhood or what? You know, I'm not a follower. Her followers tend to be around 15 years old, right? That move and comments from Bud Light's marketing vice president at the time sparked calls for beer drinkers to shun the brand, and the boycott took hold. And boy, it's been fun. The global brewing conglomerate also reported a 17.1% decline in North American sales volume during the third quarter. Its North American sales fell 14.5% in the prior quarter when the Bud Light brand lost its long-standing title as the best-selling beer in the U.S. after being eclipsed by Modelo Especial, which is owned by Constellation Brands. In the third quarter, it declined another 3% versus the quarter beforehand. So, I mean, that right there shows that the sales are still getting worse and worse. Outside of North America, AB InBev experienced growth in roughly 80% of its markets, including the Middle Americas and Africa. Total volume fell by 3.4%, mostly due to significant drops in U.S. sales. So keep in mind that Bud Light did increase their price on everybody once the boycott hit. You know, they had to offset their earnings, their losses, right? And so if you stuck around and drank Bud Light through this, you had to pay more for it. As AB InBev attempts to rehabilitate Bud Light's brand image in the North American market, the company recently scored a victory of its own over Modelo as replacing the Mexican lager as the official beer partner of the UFC. Congratulations to Dana White and the UFC. You know, for the past 6 months, Bud Light has had this stigma where you see a Bud Light, you think of Dylan Mulvaney. So congratulations, UFC. You're now going to graffiti your octagon and all your signage with this image of Bud Light that basically for 6 months has reminded people of something that they don't approve of and something that frankly disgusts them. So that's what people are going to see when they look at the octagon now. And that's what... Let's read a little bit about that. UFC CEO Dana White announced last week that the mixed martial arts organization inked a 6-year deal with Anheuser-Busch that will involve a Bud Light brand having a heavy presence in the UFC's content in its broadcasts and online beginning in 2024. So we got a couple months before it's just shoved in our face. But by then, hopefully the UFC will be suffering the same 30% decline that Bud Light has suffered, you know, because I feel like a lot of the people that watch UFC align with the people who walked away from Bud Light. So I think that's going to be a lot of, pretty similar correlation, but I could be wrong. I know the UFC gets a lot of international views, and so the decline might just come from inside the United States, which is, pretty much mirror image of what's happening to Bud Light. Most of the results are being reflected within the United States. So sources close to the UFC deal with Anheuser-Busch reportedly told ESPN it is the largest sponsorship agreement in UFC history, but White told Fox News' Sean Hannity that money was not the deciding factor in the move to bring Bud Light back as the UFC's official beer sponsor. Yeah, his excuse was that his core values align with them because they give money to soldiers and soldiers' families and stuff like that, where he could go ahead and do that himself as the UFC. They have plenty of money to do that, but he wants to use Bud Light as the excuse and to just take their money. Get out of here, dude. We're not falling for it. And so they were the first beer company that really did business with us. That doesn't mean anything. You guys have seen all this stuff. I just wanted to rag on Bud Light a little bit more. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.